Welcome to this week's edition of Black Authors Matter TV, where we interview the latest movers and shakers in the African American literary community. You'll meet some old friends, discover new ones, and stay abreast of the latest book developments around the country and even the world. So sit back and relax for the next 2 hours with Black Authors Matter TV co-hosts Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
Good evening and welcome to the latest episode of Black Authors Matter TV. I'm Gwen Richardson, your host for tonight, and my co-host, Dr. Rhonda Lawson, will be joining us shortly. We have a really great lineup of guests tonight, and I want to share something personal that occurred this weekend. It's very tragic. But you all have probably heard me mention that my daughter was expecting a girl and I was going to be a grandmother. And we were really anticipating the birth of our first grandchild, for me and my husband's first. But my daughter, the baby passed away in utero from a blood clot to the placenta. And so my daughter was 33 weeks pregnant, and then when that happens, the baby passes away in your womb and you have to still go through delivering the baby. So that happened this weekend. It's been very challenging for the family, and we appreciate your prayers very much. So we're going to bring on our first guest, and her name is Amy Barrett, and she's a new author. I believe this is her debut book, but she has been doing a lot in media for many, many years. And If I Rule the World is the name of her book. And we welcome Amy Dubois Barrett to, or is it pronounced Dubois? You can let me know. We'll welcome you to Black Authors Matter TV.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you for having me. It's Amy Dubois Barnett.
Okay, Dubois. Are you related to W.E.B. Du Bois?
I am not, but he is my namesake. So I like to pronounce my name the way he pronounced his.
Okay. All right. So,
yes.
Okay. Yes. All right. And can you show a copy of your book on the screen close so the audience can see?
I'm not sure if it's backward for you, if it's forward.
No, it's not. It's not. You know, it doesn't show up backwards on Zoom when you go live. But if you
there we go.
Facebook Live, it's backwards.
Understood. Well, here we go. Here is my debut novel, If I Ruled the World. So excited.
Very
it's
nice.
Also behind me right here.
I see
it. I have it handy.
And it's a hardcover.
Yes, it is.
It's okay. Yes. And is it your debut book?
This is not my debut book. So I released an NAACP.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It's your debut novel.
It's my debut novel.
Okay.
Yes.
So yes. Yeah, you were nominated for an Image Award with the other book called Get Yours. Now, were you nominated for that book? Was it in the instructional category?
It was in the sort of inspirational self-help category, I think.
Okay. All right. Because I think they have 8 categories or something like that.
I cannot remember. It was a really long time ago, if I'm honest with you.
Oh, what year was it?
I published the book in 2007 or 2008, and I think I was nominated the same year. So it's been a minute.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Because I have 2 books that were nominated. So that's why I asked, because I wanted to know if it was the same years, maybe our paths had even crossed. But mine were later. So
okay, yeah, my memory's blurry. I was a precocious advice giver, apparently.
But that's great. You know, it doesn't matter what year. That's a nomination that you can always claim, and I know I do. So
listen, you heard me reel it off real easy. I was like, my NAACP Image Award nominated, but I'm more excited about my debut novel, If I Rule the World.
I know we like to, just discuss a little background on,
absolutely.
when people come on. And so, If I Rule the World, what is the storyline for the book?
Well, so If I Rule the World is inspired by my experience as an editor-in-chief, specifically editor-in-chief of Honey Magazine and Ebony Magazine. Although I use some of my experience as editor-in-chief of Teen People and deputy editor-in-chief of Harper's Bazaar in the book as well. And it's set in New York City in the late 1990s, early 2000s, at the intersection of music and the heyday of magazines and also fashion. And we follow, which is, as you know, one of the most important cultural eras of our time. And we follow the journey of my protagonist, Nikki Rose, who is a young Black editor, who is not coming of age because she's 29 when we first meet her, but she's coming of power inside of
Okay.
influential institutions where romance and friendship and love, they coexist alongside misogyny and racism and danger, because this was a dangerous time to be a woman. And so we follow Nikki as she tries to go for her dreams, but has to figure out, who she's willing to become, and how she can find her voice and hold on to her very soul in the process.
So, as people will often say, some books, especially early books, can be somewhat autobiographical. So, is this somewhat autobiographical?
It is not. It is not a Romana Clay. I know
Okay.
everybody's been asking me the same question because there are
Okay.
admittedly similarities
I don't know.
between myself and my protagonist. So that's absolutely true. And I did pull maybe, I don't know, like three to, I don't know, five, sort of like real life anecdotes, things that actually happened to me. I pulled them into the book because I thought that they were kind of representative of the time, and everything else. But other than that, the journey of my protagonist is very different than my own journey. And she's very messy. She makes a load of mistakes. I made a load of mistakes now too. Don't get me wrong. I just didn't make these mistakes.
Okay. Were there mistakes that you saw other people make in
Of
the
course,
industry?
absolutely. I mean, I definitely
Mm,
mind things that I observed. I mind things that I saw. And it was also kind of an interesting, of course, it's a work of fiction. So there was an
right.
imagining of, what would happen if I'd gone left instead of right, or you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And really the book is a love letter. It's a love letter to New York City. It's a love letter to magazines. It's a love letter to music and hip hop. And it's also a kind of an homage to the friends that I had in that era who did not escape as unscathed as I did.
Okay. Now you have a background in media, extensive background um, in the industry. Tell us a little bit about. Now I saw you went to Brown, and did you intend to go into the magazine industry? Was that your goal outside of once you graduated from college, or did you uh, have jobs in other fields that kind of led you into the publishing?
Well, I actually took a circuitous route into publishing. When I graduated from college, I started my career in finance. It was not my
Okay.
spiritual home. I went into the fashion industry, also not my spiritual home. I always loved writing, and so I took a bunch of courses. I moved abroad to Ireland, of all places, to build up my portfolio, and I applied to graduate school to get an MFA. And then while I was getting my MFA, I needed to eat and have shelter and stuff. So I started to work in a small way. I found a job actually in the Columbia University where I got my MFA. I found a job in their, probably now extremely defunct, bulletin board of jobs, working for a sort of startup, if you will, kind of fashion magazine. And then when I was in grad school, I won an award from the Hurston Wright Foundation for a short story that I wrote, and the person who presented me the award was the then editor-in-chief of Essence magazine, and we stayed in
Okay.
touch. And when I graduated my program, she offered me the job of fashion and beauty features editor because I'd worked in fashion, and I was working for a small fashion magazine at the time, and I just finished grad school, and so that's what started me on my path in journalism, and it just turned out that I absolutely loved it and I was good at it, and so it just became this 20 plus year career that I'm incredibly honored to have had.
Mm. So if you were advising someone who wanted to, because the industry's changed a lot
Mhm.
over the last 20 years. Um, Primarily, everything's digital, although there are magazines still printed, but um, the industry has changed a lot. So, how would you advise someone if they wanted to enter the industry with magazines, publishing, writing, editing, or something within the industry? How would you advise them to, or
Well,
would you advise them? Would
Well, I
you?
mean, I transitioned after I left Ebony magazine. That was my last editor-in-chief job, and I actually transitioned into running the digital for some major brands. I ran digital for BET. I was chief content officer of the Griot. I ran digital as an executive vice president for Entertainment Studios, Byron Allen's company, and I was chief content officer there. So I myself transitioned away from print into digital as I watched the print industry contract, and it just didn't seem like it was going to be a viable future for me as a journalist and as a generalist. So I just was like, okay, I need to figure something else out. So, I am really good at transitions and reinvention. It's kind of what I do. I stay pivoting. I stay pivoting. Because the thing is, like, what you can guarantee in life is that, nothing's going to stay the same. And so one of the pieces of advice that I give people is um, that is to always be seeding something, meaning I'm always putting things in place for a future possibility. Once you need something, it's too late to start organizing it, right? So that goes for relationships too. I always tell people to start building relationships before you need them, because by the time you need a relationship, it's too late to build it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So and some of the things that I've seeded have taken decades, and you don't always see things in a transactional way. I mean, I'm pretty transparent. I'm pretty, I am who I am. If I like you, I like you. If I don't, I don't. I'm not going to build relationships with people I don't care about. But in terms of like my skills that I've seeded, like courses that I take, certifications that I've gotten, um, and the relationships I have built with people that I really care about, sometimes it takes decades, for it to come to fruition. But all of a sudden, decades later, or however long later, you're like, oh God, I really need X, Y, and Z job, resource, skill, connection, whatever it is. And you have either the skill, the certifications, or you have the relationship, at the ready. But also just for people in general going into media, even though the industry right now is under attack, I mean, there's a, horrifying, as we all know, attack on the credibility of major media, and there's even more of an attack on Black folks, specifically Black women. There's an effort to drive women and Black women, out of the workforce across multiple industries. At the same time, it's more important than ever that we bear witness to what's happening in this country. It's more important than ever that we put our perspectives and our opinions out there. And so the other thing I tell people is that there are certainly roles that still exist within legacy media, but it's also imperative to find different ways in which to get your perspective out, whether that's via Substack or Medium or, whatever is the independent platform you can also use to put your opinion forth. It's more important than ever.
Okay. What role do you think, or what influence have you seen that the emergence and growth of AI have played
In what
in the
specifically?
publishing, the digital publishing, the industry, just in general, writing? Um, a lot of articles that I've read about AI have said that some of the writing positions may be at risk of being eliminated because of AI. And
Mhm.
if you put something into ChatGPT or wherever, or even Google now, it will kick out what wording that you could potentially use for something. And a person who's not good at writing can just grab that and use it.
I think that in journalism, for articles that are not particularly evolved, and for for articles um, that are not investigative, there is a lot of risk, for writers and for editors, in part because AI can, sort of do low level, sort of basic level writing, for lots of different types of categories. You could just put in some prompts and it'll spit out something that's not particularly interesting and evolve, but is serviceable if you're, working on a platform that doesn't prioritize, best in class journalism and
or
best practices.
or
You know,
facts.
I'm sorry.
Or facts.
Or facts, exactly, because AI lies a lot
Mhm.
of the time too.
Yeah,
So
I mean
it's
it's
very
not
problematic.
necessarily factual.
And there was
Just
just an article, I think it was in the Times the other day. Was it in the Times? About authors even who use AI to write, like multiple kind of, romance type novels, like 50 novels in a year or something insane, which is horrifying, right? So, I think that AI definitely has its uses. I'm not going to sit here and be a Luddite and say that, no, don't use AI ever. I mean, I use AI for research all the time. And frankly, I use AI sometimes for my emails. I will write an email. I know it has a snarky tone. I give it to AI. I'm like, please fix this tone. And it'll spit back something that's like very collaborative and nice. So, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I use it too, but it's true that, there is a real vulnerability and a risk of kind of the sort of um uh you know a broad reduction in quality, of journalism and of writing overall if AI becomes more prevalent.
and I think I agree with you on that. Also, I noticed there is a cultural bias in AI, and I don't use it often.
Mhm.
Sometimes it will kick something out without me asking it to kick something out.
Mm.
But there is a cultural bias in that our the way we may express something culturally is not there.
Oh, exactly. Sometimes you'll ask it to like do something that's AAVE and it'll come back with some shucking and jiving, and you're like, okay, never mind.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not, it's not a substitute for humans.
No,
But it,
100%.
it
It is
does,
not.
it is used by people who uh, are lazy. I mean, it's some people just want to do something fast. They don't want to do the work. They want to do quick. I'll just share one thing. I don't know if you're aware of an author named Brenda Jackson. She's written a lot of. She's big in the romance category. She's written
Mhm.
150 books. A Black woman. She's been around for a long time. She started in the early 90s, I think. But she posted something a week and a half ago about three books that were out there released that had
Mhm.
her name on them that weren't her books.
Mhm.
People were
Mhm.
claiming that they were her books. And so if they upload it to KDP, Amazon, and put it out there, they can make money because she has such a broad audience and they might not know it's not really her.
Right. No, exactly. I mean, AI is, there are a lot of uses for AI. And what we don't want to do is dismiss it entirely because if Black folks don't use AI, we will fall behind.
Mm-hmm.
And we do not want to do that, right? Because folks are out here using AI in many different ways.
Yes.
And so, what I'm not going to do is say that there are no uses for it, but in a creative space, it's abysmal, and it absolutely signals, the potential sort of destruction of all we hold dear, as authors, if that kind of usage becomes more prevalent.
Yeah, it's no imagination there.
Yeah.
It's not
Well,
original.
it's just a
Collecting
compilation, if you
what's
will,
already
of
out there.
learnings. Right.
Right.
Exactly.
It's collecting what's already out there.
Right. It's not creative. It's not advancing art. It's just sort of,
No,
it's not
no,
advancing art. It's
no.
not innovative.
Right.
Right.
So, tell us a little bit more about If I Rule the World in terms of how are the readers, audience responding to it? When did it come out exactly?
So my novel came out January 27th. So we are in week
Okay, three, right?
three. So yes,
Three.
exactly. Week three.
Okay,
All important week three.
okay. And I saw
The
some things on social media. I think when you first, maybe your first appearances, your book signings or
Mhm.
something. It was some kind of event.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the reception has been amazing. I've gotten a lot of support from everybody from my Delta Sigma Theta sorors, to people who have been following my career since Ebony and Honey. to folks who are interested in this particular era. I mean, this is, at this point, we're hearing a lot about this era in the news and with the reckoning, right? All pun intended on TV. And so, we're hearing a lot more about, how complex this era was, particularly for ambitious Black women. And so I thought it was very important to write the story of one such woman or write about that era from a female perspective so people could really understand what it felt like to have to navigate the levels of misogyny and sexual violence um, and racism, as an ambitious, smart Black woman. And yeah, I mean, the reception has been great to the point that I have a television, a development deal for the television adaptation of the book with Lee Daniels, set up at Hulu. So,
Oh,
the reception has been
great.
tremendous. Yeah, I've been very, very, very fortunate. And also I
Well,
worked my ass off.
hard work is its own reward.
Ma'am,
Um,
I have been working over
no
here. People,
substitute.
people don't know how hard this is. People do not know.
So you have a great title, by the way. Now that you picked the title.
It's funny, I did, but the original title of my novel was Sugar, which is the magazine that my protagonist eventually runs. And so I actually started this book in my 30s, when I was still editor-in-chief of Teen People. And then I put it down for, over for 15 years or more, because I just didn't have the creative bandwidth to finish it while I was, doing all had this career in media. And then when I picked it back up, in a conversation with my editor, she encouraged me to kind of rethink the title because I was so like stubborn about it. I was like, no, it's called Sugar. And she really encouraged me to rethink it and come up with something that was like more reflective of the vibe of the book. And so I was like, okay, fine. And then I just, I started thinking about song titles because there's so much music in the book and it's so adjacent to the music industry, the storyline. And of course, Nas, this is one of the most iconic songs of that era. And there's a little if you know, you know moment because, of course, Lauryn Hill is on this track, If I Ruled the World. And Lauryn Hill was the first cover subject of Honey magazine, which was my first job as editor-in-chief. So, little if you know, you know moment.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you have some things going on there where you're pulling in um, things that happen to you. I don't know what that's called, but you're able to insert that into the storyline of the book. Some
Right.
things
Although
that happen.
it's not at all in the storyline of the book. It's just a sort of a little dog whistle, if you know, you know moment.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's not in the book at all. Again,
Oh,
it's
okay.
not, it's not I'm nervous about saying it's not my story too much because I don't want to veer into thou doth protest too much territory, but it really is a work of fiction.
So, is this it for you as far as your debut novel? Did you get a two-book deal to do a follow-on, or this is it for right now?
No, I actually, when my novel went to auction, I got a two-book deal with Flatiron. And so
Okay.
I have a second novel in the works. It is not a sequel, though.
Okay.
Um,
It's a standalone.
yes, it's a standalone novel.
Hmm.
My second novel is about a divorce concierge, and that is somebody who helps women, navigate the divorce process and then rebuild their lives afterward. And so my protagonist is building her agency as a divorce concierge as she's dealing with the ramifications of her own divorce and looking for love the second time around.
Oh, okay. So again, strong female main
I love a
character.
strong female protagonist. I don't know
Yeah.
if I'll ever write a book that doesn't have a strong female protagonist. It's sort of where my sweet spot.
Yeah. So where are you going next on your tour? Like where did
So
it start?
I'm going to be in Philadelphia on February 24th,
Okay.
and then I will be back in at the Barnes and Noble City Center. And then I will be back in New York City. There's an event that Black Girls Rock and Women in Media are putting together for me on the 26th of February in New York City. And then after that, I've got a lot of virtual events. So I love to do book clubs. If anybody has a book club and they want me to drop in, my book is a great book club read, and I would love to do that. Or I can, come see you if you're in the California region or anywhere, depending on, what that looks like. But I have a few additional events planned like in the summer, but things are sort of kind of coming into my inbox right now. So we'll see how it shapes up.
Okay. Now, are you from New York originally?
So I'm from New York because I lived there most of my life. My personal theory is wherever you hit puberty is where you're from. But technically, I've lived in 13 cities on 3 continents, and I was born
Oh,
in Chicago.
oh, okay.
Mhm.
Wow. And the other continents are, I'm going to guess Europe is one.
Yes, I've lived in 2 European countries, and I also lived in India.
Oh, okay. Now, did were you in those places because of your career? Like, were you writing there, editing there,
So I was in
doing
India as
media?
a child because my parents brought me over because they were doing their respective PhD dissertation research in India, and so they brought me over with them.
Oh,
And
okay.
then, I was in uh, France multiple times because long story short, went to French school, majored in French, lived there multiple times, worked from France kind of recently. And then I was in Ireland actually for about a year, a little over a year, studying because they've got an amazing literary tradition there. And so
Hmm.
I was studying literature and building my portfolio to apply to grad school.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a whole thing about Irish writers.
Yes,
Um, I remember from school, but I haven't read any of them of late, just
right,
because
right.
there's so much Black literature now. Um, we used to have a bookstore for 10 years, and we started our business in December of 98 online selling African American books. So it was
Mhm.
um, kind of a Black Amazon.
Oh, wow.
And it's a whole different world now in books, largely
Mhm.
because of the ease of self-publishing.
Mm.
Because before then, self-publishing wasn't a thing. I mean,
Right, right,
it was difficult to do a professional product
right,
self-published then.
right,
But now that whole world has opened up. So there's so many books that and some people are doing hybrid. They're self-publishing and there was a traditional publisher,
right.
something that wasn't available before. When
Uh,
at first they used not let you do that, but then I
right.
guess they figured they had to.
I
They
mean,
had to
I,
make
I,
it
don't- I
work.
know, I know so little about self-publishing. And I know there are some great, pieces of work that are coming out of the self-publishing process. But I really like working with an editor. What can I say? I really appreciate that kind of partnership that you have with a really good editor. And I just know that my editor at Flatiron made my book so much better. I mean, she was an amazing partner. So I would have really felt the lack of that. I personally believe everybody needs an editor. I don't care what kind of a writer you are. I
Oh
don't care how
no,
good
every,
you are.
every book needs to be edited.
Yeah, yeah. I
Every
believe
book.
that.
And
Yeah.
and if it's not, it's obvious.
That's all I'm trying to
Immediately.
say. You can see it.
Immediately.
You're like, ooh, that word is duped. Like, you can tell, like, you can tell right away with like people just dupe words or like, sentences in a row. You're like, okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. You can't tell an unedited book.
Hmm.
Well, show us the cover of your book once again, so people can go out and get it. If I Rule the World, and I like that it's very colorful, and there's a strong woman in the background.
You know what I mean? I appreciate you. I know my debut novel, If I Ruled the World, inspired by my experience as editor-in-chief of Honey Magazine and Ebony Magazine, set in New York City, late 1990s, early 2000s, at the intersection of music and magazines. And, it is a juicy book. It's a fun read. It's a page turner, but I also have very serious things to say about Black women's empowerment, love, and finding your voice.
Okay, well, Amy, thank you so much for being a guest on Black Authors Matter TV, and continued success with your book
I
and
appreciate
all
you.
the
Thank you
other
so much.
things you do.
I appreciate you for having me. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Bye.
Good night. Okay, we are scheduled to bring on our next guest. I do want to just check to see if, because normally Rhonda will send me a message if she can't come on at all, and I didn't see one a few minutes ago, so I'm going to check again to see if she, just so I know mentally if I if I'm going to be on by myself all night or not. So, okay, she did say something. Okay, okay, she did say something. I'm gonna see if she. I'm gonna say try if you can. Uh, she said that she's in New Orleans because her event is this weekend and her Black History Month literary weekend. And so she's in New Orleans prepping for that. And where she is, she said the lighting is not good, but we she can still come on in the dark. It will be fine. So our next author is a youth author. It's a young lady, and she has a book. And when I say young, I mean really young. So I'm not sure exactly her exact age, but I'm gonna find out. Um, I think she's maybe in middle school, but she may not even be in middle school yet. So her name is Laila Lewis, and she has a new book called The Buddy Bench. And she also has been she was international United Miss Texas Junior Preteen. And so, Layla, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV. And we just need you to unmute your mic so we can hear you. Layla, can you unmute your mic? There we go. So, can you see us? Yes, no? I don't know what you see on your end. But it looks like the camera and the sound should be on. Layla, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay. Okay, now you're breaking up. You're coming in and out. Can you speak? Can you talk a little bit just so we can get a bearing on your voice?
can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. Great, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, and welcome to the show, and congratulations on your book called The Buddy Bench. I see it beside you, and I was telling the audience I wasn't sure of your age. So can you tell us how old you are?
I'm 9 years old.
9 years old. Okay, so you're not in middle school yet, I don't think. What age is middle school?
I'm in fourth grade.
Fourth grade. Okay. All right. Now, what inspired you to write your book, The Buddy Bench?
Well, I chose to write my book because I was thinking of something to promote my platform. And then I remembered when I was on the buddy bench when I was little and I was lonely, and I decided to write a book about it to show kids younger than me the importance of looking out for other kids and for caring about yourself.
Okay, so it's about the importance of looking out for other kids who may not have friends.
Yes.
Okay. So do you found yourself feeling lonely at school, or um, were you at a new school, or what was going on?
So I transformed from pre-K to elementary school. And when I went to elementary school and we went on the playground, the kids weren't as welcoming, even though they were new too. It was something different, and they weren't as open to playing with me for some reason.
Hmm. That happens sometimes when we're kids.
Hmm.
So, well, how did you respond to it?
Well, I kept on pushing and I kept on trying. And then in my book, it tells you that I kept on asking people and they kept on saying, no, we have too many people. And then I saw the buddy bench And my brother told me that he once made a friend by sitting on the buddy bench when he was lonely. So I decided to sit on the buddy bench, but it didn't really do anything. So then one day I came home crying and I told my parents what happened. And they told me to play with the chalk by myself, and then maybe one kid would come along. So I did that. And then I also went to my school counselor and she told me some things that I could do to fix the problem.
Okay. And so now the buddy bench, is that a bench that was already set up at school or the playground for the kids? Was it already called the buddy bench, or was there a bench there and you named it the buddy bench?
So it was a bunch, and at my school, there's like a big playground and then there's a small playground. And in the middle of them, it's like this bench and it says the buddy bench and it has like kids, like pictures of kids on it. So it's
Okay.
called the buddy bench, and I sat at that bench that is called the buddy bench.
Okay. All right. Well, um, I like your cover very much. It's very colorful, and that's symbolic of you on there, I'm assuming. You sitting there on the buddy bench and the kids playing around you. Now, when you said chalk, what were you doing with the chalk? What
So my father taught me this game, and you are it's I forgot what the game is called, but it's like you draw blocks and then you put numbers inside of them.
hopscotch?
Yeah, hopscotch.
I used to play that as a kid.
Yeah, and he taught me to bring dice, and he said to roll the small dice, and whichever number it says, that's the number that you hop to.
Okay, yeah, we did the same thing, but we used rocks. We didn't have we just used the rock. So and I think the rock, it's been so many years I can't remember exactly, but I drew it in chalk in my um our driveway at home. And that's where I used to play hopscotch. We didn't really play it that much at school that I remember. But I'm glad to hear that that game is still got life to it, that people are still, hopscotch is a fun game you can play by yourself or with other people.
Yes.
So now, what's your favorite subject in school?
I like math. I just feel like math is my favorite subject really, but other than that, math is something, it's really hard, but it's something that everyone can really do. And I just feel like there are so much parts of it. There are so much parts that you can do. And what I mean by that is you could do addition or subtraction, multiplication or fractions. I just feel like there's some part of math that you're probably gonna love.
Okay, a lot of people, say math is the hardest subject. I used to like math and English, but not science as much. I was okay at it, but it wasn't my strong suit. English first, and then math. So now, have you shared your book with your classmates, your teachers at your school?
Yes, one day my school counselor came to my class and she read the book to my class. And I explained why I wrote the book. And my teacher introduced my book to the class.
Oh, okay. And what was their response? What was the response of your classmates?
Their response was they weren't very surprised because of how I am. Um, so it was just like a typical type of response, like, okay. They didn't really they didn't really care, but I don't think they realized that that's very surprising.
Well, it is for someone your age to have a published book with the story that they idea that they came up with themselves. So who illustrated the book for you?
A studio illustrated it. I don't remember the name of the studio, but a studio um a studio illustrator illustrated it. They did most of the pages. So yeah.
So how did you tell them what picture to go with the words that you had written? How was that communication in terms of explaining to them, these are the words, this is the paragraph or whatever that I'm using, and this is the picture I want to go with it?
So I explained in the page or whatever page it was. So if it was like a page where I'm sitting with the counselor and I'm talking to her what's going on, I would describe how the counselor looks. And when we started, we decided to make my character first so that it would just be more easier. So I described the counselor, and then I described what I wanted the counselor's room to look like. And I said that I wanted the counselor's room to have signs of encouraging notes and then a huge whiteboard that says all of the tips that she gave me to making friends.
Okay, well, that's really great. Now, tell us about, you're the International United Miss Texas Junior Preteen for 2025 and 2026. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Now, how did that process work? How did you um how how were you able to enter it, and what happened in, I'm assuming you were competing with other teams, and how was that whole process? I've never been in a I won't say a beauty pageant, but I've never been in a like a pageant type setting or miss whatever. I never entered any of those. So that's brave, first of all. But um, how did that process work?
So pageants are just like sports, really. What you do, this was a 1 day pageant, and there are different levels of pageants, and there's typically just two. One of them is state, and the other one's national. And
Okay.
state, you compete, and once you compete, you do your optionals and your the ones that you have to do. Um, So there's talent for your optionals, there's actress for your optionals, there's spokesmodel for your optionals. There's a bunch of stuff for the optionals. And the optionals, you have a different set of judges. So the judges are different. But for the ones that you have to do, which is the interview, the introduction, sometimes fun fashion, and usually um, the slow walk, for those, you have the same panel of judges for every single time that you do it.
Okay. And then how do they, is it by points, and then do they announce the third place and then the runner up and then the winner? How do they do that?
The pageant that I went to, we did the introduction to like tell us who you really are. Then
Okay.
we did the intro, and then they asked you based on what you said inside of your introduction about your platform and like more questions about you. And for every one that you have to do, they give you points. Every judge gives you points. And then at the end, they tally up all the points. So it's like a vote, and they tally up all the points. And whoever has the most points at the end wins states. So I won states. Then we had like a little celebration. And now I'm practicing to go to nationals to compete worldly around all the people who won IUM in the States.
Wow. So how many people were in the Texas one, the competition? How many did they start with?
In
Or
state,
not the exact number, but yeah. So compete locally first and then go to state? Is that what happens?
No, states is the first level. So states
Okay.
locally
Okay.
and mm, nationals is
The
it's
next level.
sometimes locally, but because I live inside of Texas, it's not local.
Okay. So how many girls were competing?
There are 15 people inside of state.
Okay. And so you um got the first prize out of the 15 girls that competed.
Yeah, I won out of the 15.
Okay. So do you get any monetary money prize, or is it just the recognition?
So if you win any prizes, if you win any optionals, you do get money prizes. But for the pageant that I went to, I don't think I won any money for anything, but they did pay for my nationals. So they paid for my nationals, but other
Okay.
than any optionals, I didn't get any money other than that.
Okay. I didn't know if they, even though you're young, I didn't, some entities will give scholarships even for, young people that they can use toward education later on.
They do, but the pageant that I competed in didn't.
Okay. All right. And so you're working on competing on the national level now.
Yes.
And when is the national when is that? Is it next year? Is it this year?
The national level is in July. Yes, it's in July and it's for a week. So
Oh, okay.
one day and then nationals is for a whole entire week. And then if you win nationals, you have to stay for one more day. I think it's for like photos or it's for something.
Mhm. So now you're very well spoken for your age. A lot of 9-year-olds wouldn't be able to sit and talk this extensively and with very accurate verbiage. Um, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And so, what do you do? What are your plans? Have you thought about what you want to be when you grow up, or have you thought along those lines, or are you just now just being a kid and just seeing what happens as time goes on?
So at this point, I'm gonna be honest, I really don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I started as having my plans out, and at the school year, I would be a teacher, and at the summer, I would be an actress. But right now, I'm not really sure because there are so much things coming to my head. Because now I want to be a pageant coach. I want to be a pageant judge. Now I want to be a teacher for theater. I want to be a teacher for math. I still want to be an actress. I want to be a singer. There are so much things that I want to be now. So right now, I feel like my head is just towards nationals and towards being a kid.
Okay, well, you are very ahead of your time and very mature because a lot of grown-ups don't can't figure out how to narrow something down to two things. They try to do too many things at one time, and it's difficult to do multiple things and be good at them. We normally have to focus on something so we can spend more time. What they call it honing our craft, meaning getting better at what we do. So you're very mature for your age now. You have siblings?
Yes, I have two siblings. I'm the middle child. I have an
Okay.
older brother and a younger sister.
Okay. And how old are they?
My older brother is 11
Okay.
and little sister just turned 4.
Okay. So I was in the middle too. Although there were four of us, so there were two of us in the middle. And sometimes those middle kids, they work harder because they feel like they uh are competing with the older ones. Do you feel like that sometimes?
Sometimes, but not mostly.
Mostly you're just trying to do what you like to do.
Actually, mostly I just like to play with them both. My little sister, very playful and very silly. And her name actually means happiness and joy. And that makes a lot of sense because she's just a bundle of joy.
Oh, that's so sweet for you to say that. So, now I'm looking at your bio, and you are also in the Girl Scouts.
Yes.
So, tell us about your journey in the Girl Scouts. Are you a brownie? Are you the brownie level? I was a Girl Scout too, so that's why I have a lot of similarities. Back in the olden days, as I say, we used to go door to door selling cookies. But I don't know if it's not safe to go door to door these days. But we went in our neighborhood, we went door to door selling Girl Scout cookies.
Yes, it is Girl Scout season. Actually, it's Girl Scout cookie season.
Mhm.
So we're working on getting those cookies sold. Actually, we do still go door to door, but it's not
Okay.
doing cookie booth at
Right,
stores.
right.
But
I see.
usually I would go with my brother because my brother's a Boy Scout, and sometimes I would go with my brother and we would go door to door. And if I have any extra cookies left, so if it's like at the end of cookie season and I have just extra cookies at home, I would go door to door because it doesn't take a lot of time and it'll probably get some cookies sold.
Now, have you won any prizes for your cookie sales? Because those prizes are hard to come by. My daughter was in the Girl Scouts too, so um, and she had to sell so many cookies just to get a little teddy bear. I said I could just buy you a teddy bear. So, are you competitive with the Girl Scout cookie sales?
So we do have an app for so that you can track how much cookies you've sold and you can see how much cookies someone else has sold and like compete with them and make it a little game. But I don't really do that. I like to keep my head inside of the game. And every year since I was a Daisy, I think they call it, since I was a Daisy, I've always been a CEO and top seller. So.
Oh wow! So so I don't think we had daisies. We just had brownies in the regular Girl Scouts. We didn't have daisies. So that must be newer, not new, but something new. So you've been a Girl Scout since you were how old?
Since I was, I think, 5 or
Okay. So
yeah.
are the daisies toddlers?
The
You said
days the daisies should be around kindergarten.
okay,
I was inside of Daisy.
okay, okay. Um, and then the brownies are up to age, is it 11 or 12?
9, I think.
Oh,
Because
nine. So you're a real Girl Scout at 10?
no, at kindergarten, that's when you start.
No, 10 years old.
Junior is 10. So at 5 to maybe 6, you're a Daisy, I think.
Okay,
Actually, probably 7 to 8 for Brownie. Then it's
okay,
10 for Junior, and so
okay,
on and so forth.
okay. All right. They changed it a little bit, but the Girl Scout organization has been around a long time, and it's a good organization for kids to do organized things and meet other kids and go on trips and learn some skills. It's good for social skills too, um, socializing. So, what do you have? What's in Layla's plans for this year? Are you doing any more books? You said you're competing in the pageant, the nationals for the international, what is it, United pageant. So what else do you have going on for the rest of this year and that you'd like the audience to know about?
So I have a competition at Destination Imagination. I have my bronze award. I'm getting a agent at Age Parks, and then it's just nationals and practicing for nationals.
Oh, well, you are really an impressive young lady, and congratulations on your new book, The Buddy Bench, and keep on writing. Do you have another idea for another book, or you just focusing on promoting this one right now?
I think I may just write another book about respect for sure.
Okay, that's a great topic for kids and for adults.
Yes.
Okay, well, congratulations to your parents because I know that they've invested a lot of vision and time and resources into raising you and your siblings. And, parents are God's best design for making sure children get from 0 to 18. They're irreplaceable. And so, congratulations to you and your parents.
Thank you.
Okay, well, have a great night. Thank you so much for being so poised and doing the interview all by yourself. It's very impressive. And thank you for being a guest on Black Authors Matter TV.
Yes, thank you for your time.
You're welcome. And someone's watching. I think it's your uncle. He says, "My beautiful niece, so proud of you." His name is Gregory Hodge. And one of our other viewers, Brittany Baez, says she is so well spoken, and I agree. That's what I had mentioned. You're so very articulate for a 9-year-old.
Thank you. Thank you, Auntie and Uncle.
Okay, okay. All right. Have a great night.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, we don't have a lot of child authors, but from time to time we do, and they're all very well spoken. But Laila, she's among the best in terms of verbal skills and just being able to explain things and articulate where she is in life and what she's doing. She's very um, poised, and she'll do great things. You can tell. She's already seems to be very focused and um, just respectful. And her next book is about respect. I look forward to seeing what she has to say about that. So our next guest is Char Adams, and Char has a book, and the book has been out a few months. We've been trying to get her on the show, and I have my copy. I haven't dived into it yet just because I have so many books, but I had to get a copy of it because it's about Black bookstores and it's called Black Owned: The Revolutionary Life of the Black Bookstore. So let me see, I put it back a little bit because that white washes out when you put it too close. So, Char, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Yes, hello. Hi, chat. Everyone.
So, this book intrigued me. There was another book that came out last year also about Black bookstores, and this must be a time to focus on them for some reason. My husband and I had a bookstore, a brick and mortar store for 10 years, but
Oh,
we've
yeah.
been in the book industry selling books online for and marketing and that with the book industry for 25 years. So this idea of the being a revolutionary life of the Black bookstore, um, that's an intriguing subhead. And looking at bookstore selling as a revolutionary act is one way of looking at it. And sometimes it does seem like it is. So I know for us, it did. You have to really think outside the box. So, what made you interested in this topic?
Yeah, so I first got into Black-owned bookstores back in 2018. I read an article in the Atlantic by Joshua Clark Davis, and he wrote this amazing piece about how Black-owned bookstores were targeted by the FBI back in the 1960s. And so I read that and I was just so fascinated by it, of course, but I came away from that piece just kind of wanting to know more of these Black booksellers' personal stories, right? I wanted to know what that targeting looked like, how it felt, right? And so this whole thing started because I wanted to know Black book sellers, like business, right? I just like wanted to like know. And so I started tracking different I started tracking down different booksellers from that time and just talking to them and just learning from them. And so that grew into this deep passion for just basically learning everything I could about Black owned bookstores. And so that turned into this this book.
Okay. Um, so because I haven't even had a chance to crack the pages, I just wanted to make sure I had it. So is
Yeah.
this more about is this more a book about Black bookstores from prior eras, or does it
Yeah.
bring you up to today? Just how do you
Yes.
characterize
So Black owned is a comprehensive history of Black owned bookstores in this country from the 1800s up until now. So it's like a
it?
full complete, yeah. I tried to write as complete a history as I could, but like of course I know that there are things I couldn't touch and just yeah, like I feel like it would take 4 and 5 books to like really tell that full
Story.
full story, yeah, but I'm hoping that this book is a good start.
Okay. Now you said there's the first Black bookstore was in the 18 what
Yes, yeah, it was um it was opened in 1834 in in New York by a man named David Ruggles. Yeah.
okay. It seems like I've heard that name before.
Yeah. I
Was he
mean,
known for something else?
yeah, so I mean he was this like monumental figure in the anti-slavery movement. He helped to like a free yeah, he helped to free enslaved people and yeah, and he helped to teach people about the entire movement, right? And so his Black-owned bookstore was just a tiny part of his like his larger work. Yeah, and so
Oh,
I talk about him. Yes, I talk about him in the introduction, and um, it was it was one of my favorite chapters to to work on.
hmm. How were you able to find the information? How difficult was it to do the research, to pull all the information together, to make the chronology of
Yeah.
from beginning to now?
Yeah, so I am a journalist, right? And so it's kind of so that is a skill set I have had now for a long time. But this was a lot of, looking into old old like old um newspapers, different going to different libraries and like finding books and pages that I couldn't really find online. And but the most important part of it was actually just talking to um to people, right? Was actually just talking to the black booksellers.
Okay, well, of
Um,
course you couldn't talk to Mr. Ruggles, but
right,
that was
right,
pure
right.
research, unless he was the oldest living person.
No, okay. Well, no, for his story, there is only one full length book that has been written about him. And it's by a man named Graham Graham Hodges. He wrote this like really really deeply researched book. So I think everybody should buy it and read his book.
Oh, okay. Now, I'm sure you talked to Hakeem's bookstore in Philadelphia.
Of course,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah,
My
we've had her on the show, and she talked about her father and
yeah,
how he was targeted by the FBI.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was you know, so I just love to write. I first and foremost, I love to write about Philly, right? Since I'm from there, and I'm going to show you guys my
Oh, okay. Okay.
shirt I have on, but so anytime I get to write about Philly is like my heart just feels so warm. But yeah, but Hakeem's bookstore was I covered that bookstore, I believe it is in maybe chapter three. And I talk about how Dawood Hakeem he opened his bookstore in Philly in like the late 1950s. And what is so cool about his bookstore is that it was really tied to his faith, right? He was this really devout um devout Muslim man, and he really tied his faith and the principles and the values that came from his faith. He poured that into his bookstore, and so I was really happy to touch on that as well.
Okay. I spent some time in Philly
Yeah,
in
and you
college.
loved it.
Well, yes, because when I was in college, well, I was in college at Georgetown. My best friend was from Philly. So I would go to Philly with her quite often during my college years and spend time with her. I don't know what part of Philly it was because I don't know how it's separated, but her family was from Philadelphia. So they had been there a while. And we had some fun times. I've only been there a couple of times since then. That's been a while ago, but I spent a lot of time there when we were in college because from DC to Philly is a short drive. And once I got a car, it was really,
Just
we were
out.
on the road all the time, going back and forth.
Okay.
I'm from Newport News, Virginia, so she would go home with me too. So we would visit each other. And then we
Nice.
would go to New York sometimes because New York is
Y'all
another.
were just
Yeah,
all over. I love it. Y'all have lived a life, baby.
yeah,
I love
that's
that.
the truth. We did. We did. So,
I
um,
love it.
yeah. Now, how were you able to get? And I asked this for the lady with Pros to the People. Um, was it
Yeah.
difficult getting this book published? Was
So,
it, did you have an
yeah, so
agent? Did you just present it yourself, or how
so
did?
I am so how that came together, like I feel that I, it was confirmation for me just how purposed it was or that I was meant to like to do this book because of how it all came to together. I was not planning to to write a book anytime soon, and I was not planning to write a book about um Black owned bookstores, but back in 2021, my now agent, Justin Bruckart, he contacted me. He had seen my work. I had worked for NBC News and for People magazine and everything. And so he had seen my work and like he really liked it, I guess. And so he actually contacted me to be my agent and to have me write a book. And so I told him, I said, if there's anything that I would want to write a book about and spend years of my life writing about, it's Black owned bookstores. Yeah,
Oh,
and so he said, cool. And I was kind of nervous at first because I didn't know how much a black man, sorry, how much a white man could like really understand where I was coming from and how I wanted to write this book and like why, right? But it turned out to be a perfect match. He was so um, thoughtful and he really understood what I was trying to do with the book. And so we worked together on the proposal, and then we started pitching it to different publishing houses. And I believe we got offers for the book from all of the big five. But yeah, but I chose to go with Tiny Reparations with Penguin Random House. And so I always hear these like horror stories from like first time writers who like say their first time publishing a book was so horrible and like they like didn't know this and they like really didn't have a lot of support. So I'm so grateful that I did not have that. I did not have that experience. Everything from start to finish just like went so like well, and so so smoothly. It wasn't hard to get this book published, and I think that that is because of all of the work that Black writers and just Black people in the publishing and 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 industry have like done to like kind of move things forward and to kind of make books like this more commonplace, right? So I feel like I am benefiting from a lot of what people who came who came before me have done. Like like the like the like the uh, like the National Black Book Festival, right? You guys are all part of that work.
Okay, well, thank you. We celebrate our 19th year this year.
Yes.
Yeah, for the
That's
festival.
so cool.
19 years continuously. And we started this show in July of 2020 because of
Yeah.
COVID, because
Yeah.
COVID shut everything down. And we wanted to continue the work. And we celebrate our 6th anniversary for the show this year. And
That's so cool.
we've interviewed over 800 guests. Not 800 interviews, 800 different individual people. And at some point they all kind of run together, but some stand out. This one would stand out just
Oh yeah.
because of the subject matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's unusual. So what surprised you in working on this book? What surprises did you encounter?
Yeah, so I learned, so of course, like when I was researching for this book, there were so many things that I didn't know, right? That like had to learn, you know. And so there was so much, but one of my favorite things that I've learned came when I was studying David Ruggles. So in the 1950s and the 60s, we know that like uh, Malcolm X kind of came, well, he had his like rise in popularity and in like movement work and one thing that he would often say that people still quote is is by any means
Necessary.
necessary, right? And
Mhm.
so I learned that almost 100 years before Malcolm X, it was David Ruggles who said that first. And yeah, and
It's nothing new under the sun.
right. And so I just found that so cool. It just gave me like chills, and it just goes to like show just how much Black book selling has always been linked to like to this sense of like black liberation.
Okay. Yeah, if you were a Black bookseller, which we were for 10 years, me and my husband worked the business together. So it was a family business. And I tell people, you
Yeah.
don't do it, you're not doing it for money, because you could make much more
Right.
money doing something else. Um, it's a commitment,
Mhm.
it's a mission, it's more of a statement even. But also, Black bookstores are more than just bookstores. A lot of them are meeting places, community gathering places. They now I see some of them have like crafts. They'll do like candle making or some other kind, painting. They'll have
Yeah.
I've even had some do speed dating at their establishments. Uh, some will.
Yeah.
I went to one place where they were doing chess. They were teaching children how to play chess on Saturday mornings.
So
So
cool. I love that.
yeah, they
Oh,
were.
I love that.
And yeah, now there was a period where the Black bookstores were closing around the time that we closed, because we ours was from 2000 to 2010, and with the emergence of Amazon, people weren't they were getting
Yep.
the discounted books from Amazon. And so you can't compete with the discount that Amazon gives. And, lay people aren't aware of this. Some of them would just say, why can't you sell it for the same thing that Amazon sells it for? And the problem is,
Mhm.
Amazon sells it for less than a Black bookstore can buy it for with the discount. So to give you an example,
Yeah.
let's say a book is $20. The average bookstore gets 40% off when they buy wholesale. And to buy wholesale, that means you have to buy you can't just buy one book, you have to buy multiple books. So you get 40% off, and then you hope you can sell it at list price. And that's your profit. So not profit on the bottom line for everything, but on the book itself. So if Amazon sells it for 40% off, you can't sell it for 40% off, because you will make zero money. And a lot of people, they just they
Yeah.
don't have the connection, they don't understand. They don't understand
Yeah.
business, in that you have to make money on every sale, otherwise you go under. And so, and a lot of times people will opt for the next new thing or whatever. And Amazon has done very well with making people buy everything from them, with the Amazon Prime. And just now, I don't have Prime as a revolutionary act. I do buy from Amazon, but I wait until I think it's $35 I have to spend to get free shipping. So I just put stuff in the cart if I'm gonna buy something, until I get to the $35. And then I then I release it. But um a lot of people have Prime.
Yeah.
So, you know, and they're getting free fast shipping. And so the customer even has to have a commitment to Black
Yeah.
bookstores.
Yeah.
It has to be and a revolutionary act of understanding why it's important to have them. Because
Yeah.
what ends up happening is, a lot of times we don't miss something until it's gone.
Yep. Yeah.
And so,
Definitely.
yeah, so now I wanted to ask about Dawood with Hakeem Bookstore. Was he a Nation of Islam Muslim, or was he a traditional Muslim? You know?
He was he was a not a he was not a Nation of Islam guy.
Okay.
He was a regular Muslim. Yeah. Yeah. He like wasn't really and like involved in like that,
So, so,
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
so how did he become a Muslim? He converted to Muslim. Was he raised a Muslim? Did you get into his background in that
Oh,
way?
I didn't get much into his background in terms of his like faith, but I focused more on how he came to book selling. But
Okay.
but anybody who knows anything about like Philly knows that it's full of black Muslims. It's like a very big part of the culture there.
That's true. I was in Philly. I forgot that I was in Philly for the Zeta Phi Beta Boule. Me and my co-host for the show, she's not on tonight, but she was on the Zeta board. Like, so we had a booth there about the show, and we're also both published authors. So we had our books there. And so it was for 4 days at the convention center. And they have a very nice market across the street from the convention center. I don't know if you've been with it's one big place that has food from like it's like food from all over the world, different
Yeah,
types of
that
foods.
yeah, so I think you're talking about the Reading Terminal Market.
Okay.
Reading.
And
Yeah.
there were quite a few Muslims eating
Oh,
in there when I
yeah.
went. So
Yeah.
I noticed that I forgot about that until you mentioned it, that there's a large Muslim
Yeah.
population there. Mhm.
Yes. Yeah.
So, what do you want people to like the main mission for you writing the book? What do you want people to glean,
So,
walk away
so
from when they read your book?
So that's a big question, and I want people to walk away with so much, but one thing that I really want to encourage people to do is not only be customers of their local Black-owned bookstores, but to really be a part of their Black bookstore community, right? Like purchase books there, yes, but also like join their their book clubs, or like go to their various events, right? Become a loyal part of the books of the Black bookstore, become a loyal part of the Black bookstore ecosystem, beyond just buying books. But please buy books there. Yes,
Yeah,
do
because
do
I
that.
tell people a bookstore or any business, but a bookstore, since we're talking about bookstores, they make no money unless a sale is made. They make nothing. The books on the shelves, that's money on the shelf, is what that is. So if you don't buy something, and for authors, this is what I tell them. Like for new authors, not traditionally published, but for new authors who are self-published, they'll ask, "Can I get my book in your bookstore?" Well, if you're not doing something to promote the fact that the book is there, nobody's going, even if it's there, it just takes up space on the shelf. And then that's work for whoever owns the bookstore that they have to do to put it in, catalog it, put it on the shelf or whatever. And so nothing, no money is made unless something is sold. And that's any business. But sometimes I think people think bookstores, especially the Black bookstores, are more like libraries,
Yeah,
where the books are there and they can just browse, and somehow they're financed some, somehow. I
yeah.
don't think they get it. But thank
So
you so
I feel like,
much.
yeah. Oh no, I was just going to like say that I don't feel like people often think deeply about what it takes to run any kind of like business. And if people were more thoughtful about that, that might impact how they shop and like
Right.
and yeah,
How they make their decisions. Well, thank you so much,
exactly.
Char, for being a guest on
Thank
the
you so
show.
much.
And
Thank you.
congratulations on your book. It's so
Thank you
needed.
so much.
I can't wait to dive into it. I've had it for a couple of months, but because of this show, my to be read
Yeah. It's
shelves,
like yeah.
cases, not as cases. I got baskets of books. I got books everywhere. So anyway, thank you so much and congratulations. We appreciate you
Thank
doing
you
this.
so much.
You're welcome.
Thank
Have a
you so
great
much.
night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, and we have our final guest, and we're going to be giving away a book. Um, it's it's an advanced reading copy of our final guest book, which is called The Hospital at the End of the World by Justin C. Key. And he's on sharing with us. And I'm going to go ahead. We normally, when we give away a book on the show or an art, we do it based on trivia. So before we get started, I'm going to put the trivia question out there, and then whoever answers it first gets the book. So the setting for this book takes place in what major American southern city? So the first one to answer that gets a copy of the book. So Justin, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV, and congratulations on your new book.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
So you are a psychiatrist by profession,
Yes.
okay? Or you're a psychiatrist by day and a novelist by night, or what? How did this book come about?
Yeah. So I used to be mainly like I would do the medical studies and the medical work during the day, and I'd write like in the margins. Recently, I've been able to take more like writing days, historically like Mondays and Thursdays. But I did like today, I saw a whole day of patients, and then I switched off my button down shirt, put this on, and then on here. So but I was a writer who went to medical school. So I had a passion to write back in high school, started writing seriously in college, and I got the idea for this story. It started as a short story when I was a first year in medical school. I was focusing on short stories at the time and mainly did like science fiction. And there was a call for submissions for this online literary magazine called Cross Genres, and they had themed submissions. And one of their themed submissions at that time was school. And I had just started school, medical school, so I sat down and thought of a futuristic medical school, and I'd always been interested in where AI might be going. Like back then, it was very much speculative. It hadn't taken off like it had now, which was actually beneficial, I think, for the book because I was able to explore a lot of the potentials and the hopes, and also a lot of the things that I might be more wary of, or some warnings. Whereas right now, we can kind of see like the direction that it's going. And then over time, as I went on to become a doctor and chose psychiatry and got more experience, the book grew with it. It went from a short story to like a much longer short story. And then the last few years is when I've been working on it as a novel. And in a lot of ways, it's still at its core an AI like versus medicine story. But it's also, me rediscovering the kind of the love and the magic of becoming a doctor, because in med school, it's hard to, I think, appreciate that because of all the rigors of the studies and the anxiety over like failure or doing wrong, etc. And being able to kind of process all that in this book after years of going through the training and then being like a grown-up doctor, quote unquote.
Right. Medical school is you have to really, this is a lot. You have to really want it. Because I feel like if you start, you don't want to quit.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, no matter how hard it gets, it's like I've already invested so much, you know,
Right.
whether it's money, time, you know, uh,
Both.
family investment or what have you. Um, and luckily I found psychiatry because I really enjoy psychiatry as a profession. But you hear like horror stories of people who, go into a field of medicine that they're not happy with, but then they feel stuck because they have such, enormous like debt that they took out. So they feel like they have to continue doing something even if they don't like it. So thankfully I found something that I think aligns with, you know, um, my interests and what I like to do.
Okay. So what made you pick psychiatry? Because I know when you go to, I think it's the residency part,
Yeah.
where you go, you try out like this different disciplines.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So actually, when I went to medical school, I wasn't really aware of psychiatry. Psychiatry was not on my radar. I was thinking surgery, or maybe pediatrics. I'd always been interested in the brain, so I remember asking to shadow neurology. And then, but quickly into medical school, I found psychiatry. I actually went to do research my first summer after the first summer after my first year of med school, where I went to med school, Mount Sinai, New York. They have a Seaver Autism Center, and I went to one of their seminars, and I talked with a child psychiatrist that was there. And I actually didn't know it at the time, but one of his goals was to recruit like future child psychiatrists. So I did research with him at the Seaver Autism Center that summer. And then I was still writing, and I found that my love for narrative and finding story aligned with helping people find their story. And I remember going to a panel for writer physicians, and two out of three of them were psychiatrists. And then the next year, another two out of three completely different physicians that were on that panel were also psychiatrists. So it felt early on that it really aligned with my creative side and my love for writing. And then I do a lot of therapy as a psychiatrist, and that's what really drew me to. I focused a lot on that in residency, is getting more and more therapy training, and that's what I continue to do in my doctor life.
okay. So back in the olden days, psychiatry used to be considered for crazy people. I'm just saying what it was associated with. But now it's evolved into more than that. So tell me what your typical week is like in terms of types of patients that you see.
Yes, yes. So I see a full range, but I'm an outpatient psychiatrist. So there's some people that choose to work in inpatient units or the hospitals, or maybe in the emergency room, and that will be definitely for people who are in more need of help. But I work in a clinic where people come from their homes and they come to see me. Sometimes it's as frequent as once a week, but there are some people I see like four times a year. And I see a full range. Most of the patients that I see are suffering with depression or anxiety, and then still about most of them is what I call is stable, right? We found like a medication or a treatment that has worked for them, so they're doing, just fine. And then we might check in like every couple of months just to make sure that they're continuing to do fine. Also have patients who have ADHD, and it can be a mix of people who were diagnosed with ADHD as kids, or didn't come to the diagnosis until they were in their adulthood. I have some people who have OCD. I have some people who are dealing with addiction, and it can be various levels, like people who are trying to get over their addiction, to people who have been sober for a long time, or people who have just recently relapsed. And then there are people that I treat who might have bipolar and experience manic episodes. There are people who have schizophrenia and experience like psychosis or altered reality. And then, there are people who deal with thoughts of suicide, thoughts of hurting themselves, whether it's, in the past and they're doing better now, or active, so work with a good mix of it. I'd say as a majority of the patients that I see on a day-to-day level, I'd call more or less stable. Let's say in a given week, I might see about 40 patients, and it's a mix of virtual and in person. We have offices in Los Angeles. Today, I'm traveling for. I'm in Boston actually for a science fiction convention. So all of the patients that I saw today were virtual, for example. So that gives some flexibility too. Both for me and for patients, but I also, have the ability to see people in person because, it can be very valuable to have somebody come in and, lay eyes on them in person.
Okay. Um, do you feel like some changes in our society are affecting people in terms of psychiatry? And by that I mean people are, they seem that many of them are more isolated because they rely a lot on social media or uh, this not they don't go into work as much. When you work from home, you're by
Mhm.
yourself.
Yeah.
Just the whole work environment. Have you seen some changes in that? And it escalated during COVID when
Yeah.
everybody was shut down. Have you seen some changes over time with that? The increase, leveling off, or how would you describe that?
Yeah, it's interesting because I did training at UCLA and I was finishing my training there right when COVID hit. So it's a lot of my experience as a psychiatrist, as an outpatient psychiatrist, has been in the time of COVID. So it's very interesting. It's like COVID came around the same time that I was, actually becoming like a grown.
Entering the profession.
Yeah, yeah. So it's interesting. I think that it's definitely hit people in different ways. I remember there were times where, people felt really in their element, whether they had like social anxiety or what have you. It's like now I can, I don't have to be out in the world where it's anxiety inducing. I can be at home. Like this is the energy that I like versus, other people may end up in stressful situations. Maybe their home is the opposite of their safe place. And maybe, them being able to go to school or go to work in person was their outlet, was their kind of break away from like a stressful home environment. I think that, so since COVID, a lot of different things have hit. Like right now, I think the things that are going on with the economy and the uncertainty with like AI taking people's jobs, and the difficulty in finding a job, all these different things, I do see it affecting people in different ways. And mainly manifesting, I'd say, like as anxiety. I think that with social media and just constantly being, aware of what's going on around us in the news, like having all these data points, seeing all of these images online that we can get very easily. I do think that it's making society as a whole more anxious, and more, wondering and fearful about like the future because there's so much information that we get all the time. So I have seen that.
Yeah, I noticed over the years there is basically something every week that people are angry about.
Yeah.
And it it if you're angry this week about this thing, next week people will be angry about another thing. And so I, I made a decision not to be angry about any of it.
Yeah.
Because you can just have it, flipping you around where you're just in a state of anger all the time. And so that's not good for anybody. That's never a good way to live, or you're not going to be operating at your maximum if you seething all the time about something or another. And just wait till next week, it'll be something else. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just something every week. And that's been going on for a while, like years, since social media really started becoming uh an active daily part of people's lives. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's so tell us about the book, The Hospital at the End of the World.
Yes, so the hospital at the end of the world, set about 20 years in the future. So we've handed over the reins of society to AI, like this global AI system, the Shepherd organization. They started to take over a lot of things, and our medical system, like they've just bought all the top medical schools in the country, And our young protagonist, our main character, he's Pac. He grew up in New York, was like the center of this AI technological boom. And he wants to be like at the cutting edge of medicine. So he's applying to all these medical schools. He's a top medical student. He thinks he's going to get into everywhere, but then he gets rejected from all the top schools. So he's dealing with that when his father, who's a physician, dies of a mysterious illness. And all of a sudden, Pac finds himself fleeing New York because he finds that he's in danger too. He's actually fleeing this AI system, and he has to go to New Orleans, which is the last holdout city in the country that's like rejected the AI, the technology that the rest of the country has adopted. And there is Hippocrates, which is the last human-led hospital and the last human-led medical school, where they're actually teaching like what they hope to be the next generation of human-led medicine or human-led doctors. So Pac, he becomes a medical student there, and he has to work through medical school while figuring out the ins and outs of his father's mysterious death and how it relates to that AI organization, and then his own past, how it relates to that as well. So yeah, it's my love letter to medicine, my love letter to the Black community, and it also talks about a lot of the implications of AI, not just in medicine, but in law, in art, in sports. Yeah, it's really been a culmination of what I've seen as a doctor, the importance of like that human, that physician-patient interaction, and just really trying to have people think about like as we go into this next age with AI, like have like a healthy dose of skepticism as we go into that.
Yeah, I think should be the case. And I'm a Terminator enthusiast, and the
Hmm.
original Terminator said that it was the year 2029 when the machines would take over.
Yeah.
And the original Terminator came out in the 80s. So they were thinking ahead, and we're almost there. We're
Yeah.
3 years from there, and it seems like we're on that path. Um, Now, I saw an episode of The Pit. I don't know. Have you watched The Pit?
Yes, I did. I watched the pit. I'm about 4 episodes into the second season. But yeah, enjoyed it a lot.
So, this doctor is using AI
Hmm.
to do the patient notes or the charting.
Yes.
And in the one episode that she does that, one of the residents picks up the fact that the medication is the wrong medication.
Yeah.
It sounded like one, and it was really a different one,
Hmm.
which, if that went into the actual chart, that could have horrible, you know, life altering or life and death consequences.
Yeah.
Because if you give somebody the wrong medication, they could be allergic to it. It could
Yeah.
interact with something else they're taking, and so um, that's why AI we have to be careful. Now, a lot of us patients or just regular lay people are self-diagnosing
Hmm.
online by using Google and AI. And so, I don't know if psychiatry would be as acceptable to that. Do
Yeah.
you
So
your patients?
So I definitely had that. I definitely, I warn patients about it just in terms of like, so for example, when starting a new medication, people may look up all the different side effects, right? And then if you Google it, you look it up. I always joke with people that any side effect that you ask if it can cause, you're going to find somebody somewhere that has experienced that. And because of the mind body connection, you can experience those side effects from just reading about it. Then you start thinking it's similar to, if you've ever like, heard about bugs and then you feel itchy, right? Like the fact that you're thinking about like, oh, do I have bugs on me can cause your body to become itchy. So there are ways that, just hearing about something can cause us to be more susceptible to those types of side effects. But also, but so when patients come and they're very anxious about maybe starting something or if they're experiencing something or what have you, I let them know what I just told you, but I also work with them, because if I scold them or if I say, if I wag a finger, what have you, then they might not come back to me. And if they don't come back to me, then I can't help them. One thing with AI and kind of with online and seeking that for answers that I have noticed is I have had some patients who have turned to ChatGPT like for therapy, or at one time I had a therapy patient that was actually using ChatGPT in the middle of our session, which was interesting. Just kind of interesting to navigate with. And I gave an interpretation about why he may be more trustful of ChatGPT, and then he typed it in while I was talking to him, and he was like, "ChatGPT agrees with you." I was like, "Oh, I'm glad." You know, um, so
Wow.
yeah, so I definitely think, oh, one positive thing, I have had patients who've come in and their the online search engine or what have you have helped them come up with a list of questions to bring to me. And I felt like that can be really helpful because I know that it's a common experience where people after they see the doctor, they're like, "Oh, I should have asked this or I should have asked that," or they might go in not knowing what it is that they should ask. So I do think that it can be, an important tool if it's used in conjunction with, a person's relationship with their doctor.
Okay. Yeah. People who are having AI or bots or whatever as friends or
Yeah, yeah.
marrying them.
Oh wow, yeah.
I, there was one woman who married her AI bot or whatever it is. I
Yeah.
just think my thing is what happens on the honeymoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
I, 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 you know, there's some behavior that's attention seeking behavior that, and a lot of that is exhibited on social media because it's been monetized. People can say outrageous things
Yeah.
and make money, and then some people will believe the outrageous thing and run with it, and it creates anxiety. It's an interesting world we live in. I still believe human interaction is the best. um
Yeah, great.
they now the dating app thing used to be the way that you're supposed to like meet people, and now they're saying that people are um, they're sick of the dating apps
Mm-hmm.
and they want to go back to meeting people face to face, which that's how you read somebody anyway. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
um, I just think psychiatry is an interesting profession because you have to be really able to tell someone things about yourself and trust them that they're going to give you, trust the doctor that they're going to give you the best advice. So, how are you able to do that? You know, I don't know if a person can see enough people to where they can draw a conclusion, or do you help the person draw their own conclusions?
Yeah, that's the part. I definitely I feel like I'm more about collaborating with the patient and kind of help them come to insights and draw conclusions because, when somebody asks me like, "Doc, what's my diagnosis?" I tell them like honestly, I feel like, diagnoses are most valuable for billing purposes.
Uh-oh, we may have he froze. Oh,
It
you're
is.
back. Okay,
Oh,
good.
sorry.
You froze for a second.
Okay, let's
Okay.
see.
Mhm.
So yeah, so if somebody comes to me and they're like, "Doc, like, what's my diagnosis?" Like I tell them honestly, diagnoses are most valuable for billing purposes, right? Like we have these lists of diagnoses, but like a person's experience doesn't read the textbook, right? So it's usually not just a cut and dry, like, oh, it's this thing exactly. Sometimes it is. It might be cut and dry, where it's like, oh, this is, major depressive disorder. But a lot of times it can be a lot of different things. It can be like past trauma. It can be some anxiety, some social anxiety. There might be some depression there as well. Maybe there's also ADHD as well. And I think that I let people know, especially for certain disorders or diagnoses, like I'm not going to be able to just tell this after meeting with you for an hour. A lot of times it's
Okay.
after seeing you for a prolonged period of time. Especially, for example, if somebody's coming in and it's like, hey, for example, they're like, I had this episode like a couple years ago and I got diagnosed with bipolar, but maybe it was just like because I took something, some drug at the time, and it wasn't. Can you tell me if I really have bipolar or not? And I let them know, like it'd be a disservice if I were to tell you after this one meeting that you don't. I would have to really like see you over the next few years. I could say, based on what you told me, it seems like it's likely not this, but I really wouldn't know for sure unless I'm able to see like you over over a prolonged period of time. So I really get to kind of know like what your highs are, what your lows are, like what normal quote unquote is for you. Then I can notice if there's like a deviation from that. So it does take time. And it takes time to build that trust. And one of the most rewarding things that I think that I do, or experiences I have as a psychiatrist, is like having someone come in who's like wary about, mental health or psychiatry, and then over time, like earning their trust where they feel comfortable to kind of let me like walk with them and kind of figure out what's going on.
Okay. So the book is called The Hospital at the End of the World by Justin C. Key, and it's about AI. So and it's set in the future, you said.
Yeah, about a step in the future, like 20 years in the future. So
Yeah.
not so recognizable to today, especially with what's going on with AI. But like a few steps into the future.
Okay. Well, congratulations on your new book. And are you planning to keep writing?
Yes, yes. I'm working on my next thing right now.
Okay.
I have some short stories that are coming out this year. So yeah, I'm hoping that this is my first novel of many, many, many novels.
Okay. Well, congratulations, your dual career. And it's good to pursue your passions, whatever they may be. So as long as they're legal.
Yeah, yes, agree, co-sign that. Well, thanks
Yeah.
so much for having me on there.
Okay. Thank you. And congratulations again.
All right, thank you so much.
Have a great night.
All right, you too.
Okay. That is our show for this week. And we will be back next week with another amazing episode of Black Authors Matter TV. I'm Gwen Richardson signing off. My co-host wasn't able to sign on this week, but she'll be on next week, and we'll see you then. Have a great night and a great week.
Thank you for tuning in, and join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for another edition of Black Authors Matter TV.